All right, and we are back. 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 Welcome. All right, and we are back. And today we're back with another reaction video. And this time we're going to be reacting to somebody that I don't think I've ever done on the channel before, but I do like to watch them in my personal time. This is actually one of my personal channels that I like to watch, and that is BlueJay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with BlueJay, I'm going to need you to stop whatever you're doing. Unless you're watching this video currently. So, I mean, if you're doing anything else, or let's say you have a second monitor or something, go ahead and look up BlueJay on YouTube and make sure you go subscribe. Link will be in the description below. I really like his content. It's educational. It's entertaining. The animation style is incredible. He's a BlueJay. What else can you really say? He makes incredible content. So make sure you check him out. But also, while you're over there subscribing and checking out people, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video right here. You know, we're very close to hitting 1,000, that first 1K. Also, guys, my birthday is coming up. Depending on when you watch this Saturday. It will be December 21st. It'll be right here, 12/21. Great day. It's going to be my birthday. So I might do a live stream. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try to put some content out that day. But I want you guys to all do me a favor and share one type of video that I do. I know I do a lot of different types of videos. Just share one type to somebody you know who may be liking it. Hopefully we can get those, the last 75 subs. All we need. That's all we need. We need like 75 subscribers. We're right there. We're so close. So yeah, guys, again, like, comment, subscribe. Besides that, we're going to get right into it. I think I just have one last thing to say. Oh yeah, if you guys don't like, comment, and subscribe, YouTube will come through that door right over there. And they will. BlueJay, Wacky War Tactics. Gallipoli. Okay.
Hey there, champ. How's it going? Not great. We're in an active war zone, if you couldn't tell. Tell me about it. These Uber delivery fees are basically war crimes, and I would know. Say, do you guys have Qdoba yet? Oh, I don't have time for this. I gotta get out of here before the Australians finish me off. What are you talking about? There's no one over there. What? Then who shot me? Oh, that? That would be a can of piss.
What?
What? It's late 1915.
Wait, what? Okay.
World War I is ramping up intensity, and Anzac forces are not feeling the whole great part of the Great War. 80,000 of them are cornered in Gallipoli, the Ottomans ready to finish them officially.
Wait, did I say that right the first time? Gallipoli? Guys, track that. I did say that right, according to my mind.
And their only hope to survive was to evacuate expeditiously. But there was one glaring issue with the retreat.
Okay.
If the Ottomans were to notice, it was predicted they would send up to 30,000 men from the land down under to the land down 6 feet under. So they came up with a nifty plan to pull off this miracle evacuation. What if they retreated by not doing so? Or more specifically, convince the Ottomans that they were still having a grand old time playing in their trenches, all whilst actually scurrying to their comfy metal floats. To help pull off this ghost army masquerade was the wondrous drip rifle. Not that kind. Essentially working from home, but without the Clash of Clans in your underwear part, a drip rifle was a gun that was rigged with a delayed firing mechanism consisting of 2 cans and a bit of string. The top...
Oh my God, this is actually brilliant, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this, bro. This is actually an incredible plan right here. Like, this is actually one of the, my mind is actually lightweight blown because of the ingenuity. I mean, obviously, okay, let's be real here. Obviously, I would have thought of this if given the chance and opportunity. If I was in the war and I needed to do this, I obviously would have thought about this. But the fact that another person who wasn't me did think about that, incredible. Bro, great minds think alike. I would have did this. I would have been like, yo, where's the string in the buckets? Do we got some water? All right, I need you guys to pee. Boom, boom. bro, we are, oh my gosh,
Can
so
would be
brilliant. I am so brilliant, ladies and gentlemen. This plan is also brilliant.
filled with water and slowly drip into the bottom one until Isaac Newton took the wheel and pulled the trigger with the nerd magic of gravity.
Wow.
However, given the fact that fresh water was rather scarce for Anzacs and Gallipoli, there's a non-zero chance that some of these cans were given the old golden shower treatment to operate, making it undoubtedly some of the finest work ever graced by Australian hands, other than yours truly. Therefore, after the rear guard set up a bunch of these with dummies and smoked a platoon's worth of cigarettes each to make the trenches appear full of men, or trains, they were able to safely evacuate with remote gunfire masking their withdrawal from the Ottomans, who were none the wiser. But anyway, that is a Tarantino amount of blood behind you, so one could say you're in for a bad
Tarantino, where's the feet at?
time. Today we're learning about Wacky War Tactics, yet again.
Oh wow, maybe I should have watched the first 2 parts of this series. Guys, let's get this up to let's get this to 20 likes. I don't know. Get this up in the likes, hit the like button, and then we'll go through the first 2 parts of the series. How about that? Hit the like button first, and then we'll see where the numbers go from there.
I watch you while you sleep.
Interesting.
Or at least I could be with the new limited edition BlueJay figure. I just couldn't get my fix of breaking and entering last time, so I barged back into the U2's lab to cook up this dashing little scallywag.
Hey, that's actually pretty dope. Guys, go buy yourselves one of these. And also, U2's, what's up? Where's mine? Where is my logo and or plushie at? Like, geez. What else must I do? I've earned it with my ability to entertain. I'm like super duper smart. It's like almost impossible to be like smarter. I'm not a bird, but you know, I like them. I think birds are cool. Come on, man. What's going on here?
Complete with
Mordecai is my favorite BlueJay outside of actual BlueJay. So like if there was a some type of like competition on who enjoys, you know, birds, BlueJays specifically the most, I would also be in that category. So I don't know what else YouTube's wants for me to do. YouTube, hit them up. YouTube needs to call up YouTube's and be like, yo, this guy needs the things. Also, YouTube's, hit me up. I'm here. I'm ready. I got the idea already in my head. It's telepathically, I'm already shooting you guys the ideas. I just need you guys to put them into action. So let's get this done, people. Everybody go to youtubes.com. Go to youtubes.com and let them know.
With a tricorn hat, bandana, and cannon, this vinyl figure is perfect for all your whimsical pirate needs and definitely does not contain a radio transmitter. It took a few prototypes to get right, finding the right orphan.
See, I'm not one of those people who believe birds are fake. I mean, maybe some birds are fake, but not like all birds. You know, if anything, if I was going to make anything fake, I would just make like half of like, I would make actual traffic cameras or something, have those in them secretly. Or, you know, I would, in fact, if I was going to secretly control the society of people or like, you know, monitor them at least, what I would actually do is like put some type of like tracking device on their like in their pocket somehow, but also make it so it's like entertaining so they want to use it. And then I would like create a bunch of like applications and stuff that you can use on that device. And then I would make it so that that one device could replace probably like 20 devices back in the day, so that you are almost needed to have it at all times. And then I would just track you from there. Maybe add a couple like goofy facial recognition apps that, oh yeah, they changed the way my face looks, but now I have full facial recognition of you. Or I would do something like, oh, you like how your voice sounds with this voice thing? And then I would just use that information to, you know, control all the voices, you know, make sure you have your voice monitored. And then, I don't know, anytime you say something near this device, maybe it gives you an ad for the thing you were talking about or starts bringing up that stuff for some reason. That's how I would do it. I wouldn't just use birds. They're almost always outside the house. You got to worry about the outside traffic and other noises and focusing that on one person. It'd be a lot easier if you just had a device for every individual person, maybe even something that they wanted to buy and were willing to pay their own money for. And then you would just control them with that thing. I mean, I know that thing hasn't been invented yet, but geez, they're working on it, I'm sure.
The meat is hard after all, but nevertheless, we were able to come up with a stunning swashbuckling BlueJay to honor the channel's pirate phase earlier this year.
Hey.
YouTubers gave me complete creative input over not only the design of the figure, but the box design itself, meaning every crack, crevice, and vaguely threatening language was strategically crafted by yours truly.
Oh, wow.
I didn't think they'd let me say this.
Oh, wow. That's actually pretty cool. Like, hey, shout out to you twos. Once we start working together, then I'm gonna give you some great ideas too. The box is gonna look incredible. And it's gonna have my face, like, cheat. I don't know. It probably won't have that on it. Maybe it will on the bottom. It'll just be like, I won't. I'll make a better face than that. People, come on.
Wonderful U2 servants really went all out with this one, and it's honestly the second coolest thing I've ever received after your mom's number. But it's only available
wow, burn. He was talking about your mom's, not mine.
For a limited time. So if you want to complete your BlueJay U2's jar collection,
brother, my brother, sir, I've been on the internet long enough to know that's disgusting. And if anybody puts my U2s in any jar and then fills that jar up with any bodily fluid, I will be upset. Do not let me know about that. I would, bro.
Or send me even more videos of you torturing my merchandise, click the link in the description to snag yours before it's gone forever.
You can send photos of, I don't know, destroying the merchandise. That's cool. Just don't, what's the YouTube friendly way to say this? Don't add mayonnaise onto my items that you purchase from me and then let me know about that. If that's something you want to do, go ahead and do it on your own, volition and without my knowledge. I'm not going to ask, you don't tell, let's keep it that way. How about that?
And now, back to the video. Now, in my last installment, I talked about how the Persians defeated Egypt at Pelusium by using cats, a story with shaky reliability that others rightfully called me out on.
Oh, wow. I mean, that may have been true, and not in like the, oh, we're afraid of cats type of way, but in the cats are sacred in that society. We're not going to just go out and kill a bunch of them, in order to get these guys. We got to make some type of like, we got to surrender or something because they have a bunch of cats. Like, we're not going to just do that. Now, I didn't watch this video, DJ Peach Cobbler, but should we watch that video, guys? Like, should we find out if BlueJay is wrong and he does racism? He's a bird. Would that be like a specious thing? I don't even know.
That thumbnail was a joke, by the way. Since then, I've redoubled my efforts into verifying the accuracy of stories and disclosing when their reliability can't be fully determined. Ancient history is always a blurry topic after all, and while this first story takes place around the same time as the Battle of Pelusium, the tale of cat warfare was first reported 700 years after the fact and only comes from a single source. Today's story has two. Ancient China, the spring and autumn period, also known as history's first battle royale, with something like 200 states vying for power, including the Qi, or the fancy Qi, or the letter E. When they weren't competing for a name that sounded the most like a Pokemon with brain damage, they spent their time—
this is going to be used against you, bro. This comment right here is the one they're going to use against you, but I shall root for you.
kickstarting many major philosophies, such as Confucianism to guide people on morality, or Taoism to guide hippies on their first tattoos. But above all, these Chinese states enjoyed their art.
Hey, I got that photo. You guys see that photo in the entrance. They copied that from me, guys.
Like war. The Art of War by Sun Tzu was potentially written during this period, a military text made famous for its revolutionary tactical advice like give your soldiers food and think before you move. This priceless knowledge—
Hold on now. Hold on. This might be good information. Let me see what it says. Bring war materials with you from home, but forage on the enemy. Thus the army will have enough food for its needs. I would say that's a pretty decent, war strategy advice. Like, you have food, but then you still forage. You know, in that way you have the food you need plus extras already. Yeah, that's a pretty decent tactic right there, especially for this time.
Soldiers' food and think before you move.
You know what? Here's the thing about the ponder and deliberate before you move one. People are dumb. So it's like it sounds easy to just say ponder and deliberate before you move, but then you meet people and you're like, oh wow, they never pondered anything a day in their life. They've never been deliberate, you know. They don't know how to be deliberate about what they're doing. So hey, yo, it's some people it's in them, some people it's not, you know.
Move. This priceless knowledge was studied by Helu, the king of Wu, who utilized it along with the legendary man himself to squad up and wage wars, crinking 90s on his neighbors, trying to clutch that dub. And the next stop on his way to a victory royale was his demure neighbor down south.
Okay.
I did it. But
You said
at what
the word
cost?
demure.
Upon hearing of the death of its leader, Helu seized the opportunity to wage war on the state of Yue as it was transitioning to its new king, Goizhan. So with their crosshairs set, the state of Wu prepared for their invasion. Alright boys, before we go, let's just check our little manual here. Food. Make sure to bring food, guys. Genius. Of course. I love swallowing objects. And it looks like we need something called fire. Fire? What
Good
that?
idea.
Oh, it like air, but when angry.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you mean bad touch. Excellent. And we also need candy for every soldier. Wait, this ink is fresh. Who wrote this? Maybe it's a new update. Well,
That's pretty funny.
being invaded by the local superpower with a military influenced by one of the most legendary generals of all time was a less than ideal way to celebrate a new promotion, Goizhan was nonetheless determined to resist. But fighting such a renowned military required some cunning, it required some wit, it required a cutthroat mentality. Wait, that's it! Taking my advice a bit too literally, in one battle, Goizhan, quote, sent 3 waves of convicted criminals toward the Wu front lines, where,
Okay.
with a great shout, they proceeded to cut their own throats.
What?
Now, different sources claim that they were actually soldiers willing to die instead of criminals, but either way, the goal here, other than giving me content, was to leave the Wu forces stupefied and intimidated. However, I can see this plan easily backfiring.
Yeah.
That's right! We're fucking crazy! You better surrender!
Holy shit, sir! I don't think I could fight them. This is insane. Hold on, Corporal. Just hold on. What's a corporal? Oh my god, that's insane!
Haha, that it is!
Could you imagine how scary it would be if they did that again?
That's right! We're demented! B Squadron, show 'em!
Oh, the humanity! What eldritch horrors awaits if these demons were to descend upon us?
Horror indeed!
I just might surrender if they did that yet again.
Right! Fuck. Squadron C, show these men before the eyes of our gods what we're capable of!
Sweet heavens! My men are truly cowering in fear.
As they should!
Now, if they were to show
So,
us yet another time,
guys,
but unfortunately for them, the
I
art of
think-
war didn't cover
oh
what
my
to do
gosh.
if
I
the
think
enemy
what this shows us is that I would have never fall for this plan. Is what this really shows us. Like, I think what this really proves is that I personally would have never fell for this, and that's mostly
Soldiers
all I
fucking-
have. That's mostly all I have to say about that.
killed themselves.
I would have just
So when
never
the
fell for this. I don't know why they fell for it, but couldn't have been me.
UA forces launch a surprise attack from another direction, the stunned soldiers were promptly defeated. As with all ancient history, a certain amount of faith is required when learning about its stories. However, I'm more inclined to believe this tale, as its sources are often considered some of the most trustworthy in ancient history, and the tale is recounted by Sinology experts today. Cutting one's throat was a rather common way to commit suicide after all, and because
True.
death was viewed quite differently around this time, the soldiers may have believed their sacrifice would be rewarded in the afterlife. And if they had been criminals,
I feel like most soldiers today still think that. So hey, there you go. That, you know, when you're giving your life for your country, I think having those, you know, afterlife thoughts is pretty important, and it's been pretty standard since people have been fighting in wars. So yeah, shout outs to that. You know, whoever's the first person to say, yo, if you do this right now, I promise you it'll work out for you in afterlife. Hey, whoever said that, shout outs to you, brother. You was cooking that day. You was on fire. That was your one. You got it, bro. That's all you. I love that for you.
Some theorize their families may have been threatened to ensure their compliance, and not like run over to the other side. I spent a lot of time tracking down, verifying, and independently translating various sources. Shout out to Kevin's dad. So if any YouTubers are looking to make some content, I hope they are satisfied with this disclosure. That was a joke, by the way. As for the defeated King Helu, he was mortally wounded in the Battle of the Deep Throat. Cuts. Tell his son and soon-to-be king to never forget about Yue. And so, holding his dying father's hand, his son made a vow. He was never gonna give Yue up, never gonna let Yue down. Jumping forward 100 years,
Wow, wait, was that one country called Song?
He was never gonna give you.
Is that okay? Now, this may sound crazy, but did he add this, or was that? I'm sure that was already a thing. That was already a thing. I already made the decision, guys. That was already a place. If it wasn't, it is officially a place now. I just gave it the song. You were officially a historical place, as well as Lu and Ju, and Chu and Wu and you. All you places exist.
Yue up, never gonna let Yue down. Jumping forward 100 years, we have the Persian Empire at the top of their game. They've been balling around the peasants of the Fertile Crescent and are now the largest empire by any assessment. With the recovery of Egypt, an economy full of riches, the future was looking bright for little old Persia's business. So long as a Greek boy with a city naming habit doesn't come along. It's 334 BC, and the Persian Empire is being invaded by a man so legendary, so monumental, that his world-altering conquest and exploits would forever land him with the name Alexander the Great. Yeah. That is, unless you subscribe to my theory. Yeah, I don't know, he's weirdly close with that cavalry commander. Probably not the only saddle he's riding. Call me crazy, but I just don't think Alexander is straight. What was that? Duh, I was just saying that Alexander is great. What's going on?
Okay, this was a funny play on it. I give it to you that Jaybird, BlueJay. I'm sorry. I see. I call him Jaybird because we're so close and we're like friends and best friends, and like it's like the connection. It's because I've been watching him for so long. It's parasocial relationships.
On over here, babe. Alex. Hephaestion. Finished getting that city named after me? Which one? Alexandria, or Alexandria? Alexandria. Oh yes, paperwork's been submitted. Excellent. Oh hey, Alexander the Great. Make sure to write that one down. A few years in, and Alexander's been slapping around Darius pretty good. And after taking over modern-day Turkey, it was time to plan their next move. All right, that was a great victory. Now for diplomacy. Go further east. That's a fantastic idea. No, sir, should we not engage the Persians in negotiations so as to not overextend ourselves and risk hemorrhaging our forces against the largest empire known to man?
Bro, why would you need to do that? Come on, bro.
Oh, my sweet Clythius. No. Alexander was determined to push further east, conquering the whole of Persia.
Obviously, okay, so this is a bit here, because I know some of you guys don't understand sarcasm very well. But obviously, if I were Alexander the Great, I would have not kept pushing forward. I just would have got my troops to get there, be like, you got to maintain the troops, and then I would have got more troops, and then I would have, started initiating other troops, and then I would have been like, oh man, now the army's bigger, now I'll keep pushing forward, and then I would have kept like that place, the whole world would have been the blue color if it was me, but that is just me, guys. But yeah, this was a horrible plan.
Persia. But first, he knew he had to secure his supply lines from the danger of the Persian Navy, making him the second military mastermind in history to uncover the divine wisdom, soldier need food, and to achieve the security and control. Okay, so again, this statement right here. Divine wisdom, soldier need food.
It's actually a really good one though. It actually is a good one. He should have, done more of that. But that's not just, that's not just food. Sometimes that could be like, you need to get more soldiers too. That could be an allegory if you really think about it.
Food. And to achieve the security and control the Mediterranean, the city of Tyre needed to fall. There was just one small problem with that though. All right, Tyre should be right around here. Oh.
Nice.
Looks like it's an island, sir. But what if it wasn't? What? Without a strong enough navy of his own, Alexander decided that peninsulas were in fashion and ordered his men to throw fuckloads of rocks in the water to build a land bridge all the way to the fortified island of Tyre.
Wait, could that have worked? That, like, the amount of rocks, the amount of time, the amount of men, effort, they would probably all be tired by the time they even made it over there. I don't know how you... Hey, let's see how this works out. Let's just see.
However, this would be no easy project. The island was supported by a navy, surrounded by lofty walls, and was a whole kilometer off the coast. But impregnable wasn't a word Alexander liked hearing. This will be a monumental task, not to mention the city is near impregnable. Hey, I have no problem impregnating. I'm the king of Macedonia after all. Right. So anyway, if we want this to work, we're gonna have to figure out how to get it up. Who told you that? That was one time, Clythius. Is Mary running that
Hey, Alex, it happens to all of us at least once, you know? It's not the end of the world, man.
Bitch mouth again? No, sir, I'm sorry. Please, don't be too hard on me. I have no problem getting hard. Call him Alexander Deflate. What was that? I said you're Alexander the Great. You have a magnificent cock, sir. Now, chucking enough rocks in the ocean to build a causeway wide enough to shove multiple siege towers out towards our great Lord Cthulhu is quite the exhausting task. But luckily for Alexander, there were plenty of local hands perfectly capable of carrying rocks nearby, and they were just too excited to help. All that's needed now is about...
Okay. Maybe I got proven wrong there. He just used slaves. So
a full supply of rock.
Call it wrong, call it whatever you want. That's what he used. It makes sense now.
Rocks.
Still not the best plan in the world. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I still feel like you could have accomplished this. Why don't you just build boats at that point? You know, you're gonna build like this huge thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe building a bridge is easier than building a boat. I'm no boat expert. I'm no rockologist or, shipologist. I don't specialize in ship doctoring. So, maybe building the bridge is easier. I'm no bridgeologist.
Well, these aren't being used. The Tyrians saw them toiling away, planting rocks and sticks in the water, and decided to help out by supplying some of their own. And while I'm sure the gesture was appreciated, their aid had the unfortunate side effect of spray painting the bridge red. Alexander, not vibing with this design direction, built a palisade to protect the workers, along with 2 siege towers at the end of the bridge. However, the Tyrians, much like George Bush, were determined to destroy the 2 towers, so they stuffed a few ships with incendiary material.
Guys. We gotta stop with the whole... Do you think President Bush, orchestrated 9/11, guys? Come on. Let's be real here. Like, do you think he would have made it so that they started a war overseas and, I don't know, like, created some type of military-industrial complex with, all the people who went over there? And do you think, like, the vice president would have had, like, some type of, like, like ownership in some type of like group that may like specialize in rebuilding war-torn countries? Come on, man. What's with all this? What's with all these questions and all these accusations?
Materials and crashed them into the structures, burning them to the ground. But Alexander was rather skeptical of this. Triremes can't melt wooden beams after all, so he decided to build yet another, even wider causeway from a second location on the mainland. And why shouldn't he? I mean, the volunteers were practically boiling with excitement after all. Surely he couldn't fail this time. We are talking about the mastermind that solved the Gordian knot. So this is the Gordian knot? It's impossible to untie. Oh, impossible, you say? Yeah, it has to be. It's holding a suspended load of concrete over an orphanage. So you're saying it'd take a true hero to untie it, huh? No, ideally it should not be messed with. Oh, sweet Jesus! Yeah, Aristotle was my teacher. But a bridge wasn't going to be enough on...
Wait. I'm not hip to the story. Comment down below the story if you guys know it. How did Alexander get that? Did he just cut the knot? Did nobody else? If he did just cut the knot, I would say everyone else before him severely failed the challenge. Because if that was that simple, somebody else should have thought of it. Was he like the second person to attempt to undo the knot? Like the first person was like, yo, I can't do this. It's impossible. And he was like, yo, swipe. I feel like after the 10th person should have swiped it. They should have just sliced it. I don't know. Maybe he was just smarter than the average bear.
On its own, Alexander needed ships, lots of them, and luckily for him, he had just captured a bunch of Phoenician cities with naval fleets just sitting around collecting dust when they could be collecting skulls. So he rounded them up and brought them to the island. The siege dragged on, the Macedonians slaving away with naval protection, while the Tyrians provided them some public theater with volunteers from the audience. Things would eventually come to an end when the Macedonians overwhelmed the Tyrians by attacking from both man-made land and sea. And finally, after the great Alexander gloriously conquered the city, cementing yet another story in his legacy that would sculpt the cultural transcending legend of a truly magnificent man, he was able to stand tall atop his prize. And sell the women and children to slavery,
I don't know why I was expecting something different. I was just gonna be like, oh, he got a lot of money and fame and all that stuff. No, he sold people into slavery. Yeah,
crucifying 2,000 of the few surviving men. As they say, another epic victory for the OG. Who says that? It'll catch on. You'll see. Well, you won't see.
Yeah, you won't be there, unfortunately.
You'll be very dead. Only the citizens taking shelter in a temple were spared, including the king of Tyre himself. As for Alexander's 7-month rock stacking project, the remains of it are still visible, and centuries of sand accumulation have terraformed the island of Tyre into the peninsula of Tyre, one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world that you could still visit to this day. Well, maybe hold off for now.
Oh, wow. What?
Inhabited cities in the world that you could still visit to this day. Well, maybe.
Oh, wow. Well, that's not good. You know, that doesn't seem like a good thing right there. But yeah, guys, that's an incredible story. That actually really happened, obviously, and the evidence for it is still around today. And it actually became a peninsula. Like if Alexander the Great could see what he did like 1,000 years ago, if he could just come back to the time right now, he'd be like, whoa, I'm a pretty cool guy. Especially he'd still be like, yo, they still have cities named after me? Okay. He'd actually think he was him. And I think we'd actually have to like, kind of, what's the term here? We would have to just like take care of him, because I think his ego would grow too large in modern times, knowing what he did, and then we would actually have to just do it all again. You're like, all right, guy, here you go again, trying to take over countries in 2025, 2024, and like, come on, we can't. Who are you? Russia?
Hold off for now. We remember the Cold War as that funny half-century period where two halves of the world edged each other to see who would splooge plutonium first. But while today
America, obviously.
We know both sides ended up being true long-lasting kings, the Brits of the 1950s weren't so sure and needed to develop some contingency plans in case the hammer and sickle came a-knockin'. But how does one stop the LeBron of steamrolling through Eastern Europe from doing just that? Well, luckily, the puzzle of keeping big groups of people out of big chunks of area while also assisting with hell's underpopulation problem had already been solved. Landmines. Only problem was, landmines were kind of lacking pizzazz. That was last decade's fashion after all, so how does one jazz up this concept with the taste of the 1950s trends? Introducing Operation Blue Peacock, which was renamed from Blue Bunny, which was renamed from Brown Bunny. Really doing everything they can to avoid a Warner Bros. Lawsuit. Blue Peacock was a project to develop a nuclear landmine with the goal of putting the first Soviet man into orbit. The plan was to bury a bunch of these in an area so uninhabitable and undesirable that nobody would mind it getting destroyed and irradiated. You know, somewhere like Germany. This way, if the Soviets were to invade the Iron Curtain, their advance would be halted in their tracks with some atomic confetti.
What? This seems just too much. Like, I feel like it would affect too many people for way too long. Like, what who would think of this plan? This is like, somebody actually put money behind that plan, guys. They were like, oh yeah, let's make a landmine made out of nuclear explosions. Like, a landmine? Like the mines that we forget to pick up and people step on accident all the time? Those mines? You want that to be nuclear now. You want somebody to accidentally step on this 20 years later, and then a whole random village or a half a state gets destroyed now. Oh my gosh. This is
blanketing
dumb.
the area in enough radioactive fallout to prevent enemy occupation. This 10-kiloton nuke, weighing 7,300 kilograms, would be buried 35 feet deep and blast a crater 640 feet across. To help visualize, that is a bomb weighing 780,302.73 gumballs with a 100 billion gumball yield buried 4.
So this is for the U.S. audience here. This is actually, as an American, this is actually unironically easier to calculate in my head than kilometers and everything. I don't know. Like obviously I can because I'm super smart, but like 100 million gumballs, 100 billion gumballs. Hey, that makes more sense to me. I can at least visualize, okay, that's a lot of gumballs right there.
420 gumballs deep and exploding a 7,680 gumball wide crater.
Yeah, that's a lot of gumballs right there. See? I like this guy's math. He already knows. He also could have used football fields, baseball bats, apple pies, any other form of candy, specifically like Kit Kat bars, maybe a rulers. I think I would have preferred if this was in football fields, to be honest. I like when we start doing measurements in football fields specifically, because it's just more fun that way. Now, one that I don't normally see a lot is measuring things in basketball stadiums. Like, how many basketball stadiums does this go? But I guess they'd be like, all right, is that just the court or the stadium itself? I would measure it by the stadium itself. You know, the court, yeah, we already know the court's like what, 90 feet or something like that. But the stadium itself, and then we got to be, oh, which stadium? Obviously, we're going to do this based off the Cleveland Cavaliers play. So we're going to name it after the Quicken Loan, or, measure it based off the Quicken Loan arena, the Quicken Loans arena. So from now on, things should be measured. How many, Quicken Loans arenas can you fill up in the area, or how many you can even just make it easier. How many Cleveland Cavaliers stadiums can you fit in a specific area? So new terminology coming out soon. Obviously BlueJay, if you're obviously you're watching, you can start using that one. That's actually a free tip right there, guys.
With how big these puppies were, you weren't exactly able to litter a whole minefield with them, so they had to choose their locations very strategically. Alright Vlad, it was a good day one, but I'm thinking we set up supply depot before pushing on. This looks like a good spot, so let's...
Hey! A little more to the right!
Of course, these landmines couldn't be pressure activated, not unless we wanted some kid playing hopscotch to step on a crack and break the sound barrier.
Okay.
So instead, they were designed to be detonated either by wire or by an 8-day timer. And to prevent anyone from being too nosy, it would also detonate if it was tampered with by any passing Russian soldier and or curious child.
See,
there was just one...
So, like, years later when people forget about this and then somebody's like, hey, what is this? We found this. Oh, let's dig it up. Boom. Boom. That's like a crater about the size of like 40 Cleveland Cavaliers stadiums.
One problem with this plan, with the bomb being 35 feet deep in German soil, cold winter temperatures would prevent the electronics from working properly. So those lab boys back in the UK had to come up with an idea so ingenious, so brilliant, that they could keep their bomb internals safely warm for 8 whole days in the field until detonation. Congratulations on your new appointment, Dr. Pekka. Our team couldn't have selected anyone better. I'm just happy to be given the opportunity. After 8 long years of higher education, I'm excited to finally be able to pay off my
Are they gonna put chickens or something in here? Don't do this.
loans and provide for my wife and eggs back home. The job market is tough for my kind, as you can imagine. Well, I can assure you we don't discriminate here at Fort Halstead. We only pick the best candidates for the job. I'm glad to hear that. So, where's my office? Oh, just right in here. The Brits' genius idea was to stuff a live chicken in a nuclear landmine to keep it warm with good old-fashioned body heat. They planned to give it enough food to prevent it from pecking at wires and keeping it alive for at least...
How would you stop a chicken from wanting to peck at wires? What if they just what if that specific chicken just for some reason wants to peck that wire? They're not all the same. They're not a monolith. All animals have independent thoughts. You know, it's like, come on, bro. Watch the first chicken probably be like, yo, what's this wire? I know I got food here, but I also need some entertainment for the next 8 days as a chicken or a rooster. What's this wire hitting me? What if the wire taps him and it's like, oh, what is that? Let me tap it back. And then bam, whole freaking explosion happens. Why would you put live animals inside of this thing? I literally was like, oh yeah, I hope he doesn't put a chicken in here. What is the next freaking thing that happens? They put a freaking chicken in here. Jeez.
8 days before it was sent to the Shadow Realm.
Oh my
Truly a
gosh.
device only conceivable by the West, as pumping a KFC meal full of the entire electromagnetic spectrum is nothing more than the final evolution of ultra-processed meat. So with 2 prototypes built and 10 orders in the horizon, all that was left was to put their cock-filled plan into motion. Yeah, so we'll just kind of spread them out around here. Ben, will this be a problem? Only if you're invested in local real estate. No, they'll be quite dead. The Brits chickened out of the project once they remembered that nuclear fallout was famously unpredictable and could drift towards what I guess you could refer to as people. Blue Peacock was kept secret until it was declassified on April 1st, 2004, leading many to believe that shoving a Popeyes combo in a nuke had to be an April Fool's joke, to which the head of education at the National Archives responded, "The civil service does not do jokes." Wow.
This sounds like a very big joke to me right here. Like, this whole thing sounds like a joke. I love this. Sub to BlueJay. Guys, make sure you sub to BlueJay. I love these little things right here. The little S symbol. Some of you guys may know that I have a very shitty version of that tattoo here. So, you know, hey, my birthday's coming up. Maybe somebody will donate to my, what do they call that? Cash App, or subscribe to my Patreon and my YouTube, or the YouTube channel, or become a member. It's only like $1. And then I can afford better tattoos and make better life choices. You know, let's go.
Crashing a project that spent 4 years in development sounds like a complete waste of time, they did find a way to salvage this at the end of the day. All that hard work designing and developing a wacky weapon prototype would end up fueling Britain's other favorite hobby: filling museum basements. Wacky War Tactics Part 3, 8.1452 out of 10 stars.
I give it a full 10 out of 10. Come on. Hey, shout outs to BlueJay. Incredible video. I love the BlueJay's content. I think he makes incredible content. Honestly, I just like I like the style that he does it in. He's funny and he knows it. So shout outs to him. Again, make sure you subscribe to him. Also, while you're over there subscribing, obviously subscribe to myself as well. Your boy, that's me. Hi. How you doing? So yeah, you never know what I'm going to put out next. I am going to try to put out more videos, especially this week. Again, this is a big week. It is my birthday weekend coming up. Depending on when you watch this, either you have time to see it or you have missed it completely, and it will be there for you next year to celebrate that same day, birthday, December 21st. So guys, if you made it this far and if you enjoyed these ramblings, I do want to say thank you. The channel has been growing continuously over these, what has it been, like almost, this is about to be like a 3-year anniversary, guys. So we're probably going to be celebrating that at the end of the year too. So guys, thank you. The real ones, the day ones. I remember, I know you guys. I love all of you guys, and I want to make sure everybody who watches this channel, even if you don't subscribe, I do want to make sure you guys know that I am thankful. I do love you guys, and I want to say bye.